I get to go first. Hi, I'm Dr. Rhiannan Claus, and following that panel on confidence and branding, that's going to influence how I describe who I am, okay? So I am a neurologically focused chiropractor. So when you hear that, just take the word chiropractor and everything you think about that, that's not me, okay? So keep the neurologically focused part. And hearing these ladies talk about confidence, it really reminded me about my practice. So my specialty is pediatrics, specifically spectrum and sensory disorders, ADHD. And I'm not a mom. I'm not a mom. And how many of us women think that our worth is whether we're a mom or not, right? But I knew I was called to serve kiddos. And I'm not a mom because my husband passed away, unfortunately. And so to be able to serve moms, right? My community is moms in my office, right? And to be able to serve moms and come from a place not being a mom, but be confident that I know how to serve those families is so powerful. So that's what I do. That's who I am.
Thank you.
I just want to say there's a lot of estrogen in this room right now. But what I do want to say, what a lot of you ladies don't know, is that we actually make more testosterone than we do estrogen in our lifetime. So testosterone is an important hormone here. My name is Jen Goldstock. I'm the co-founder of Synergy Integrative Health and Wellness, and I'm a functional medicine nurse practitioner. So I try to assess and address the root cause of illness versus just trying to find a pill for your ill. And my goal in my practice is to kind of bridge the gap in medicine, especially when it comes to women's health. I think there's a lot of gaslighting that occurs in the healthcare system when it comes to women's health. And yeah. And my goal is to empower women to demand better care for themselves and to provide better care for them. So that's me. Woo!
Okay, now I'm nervous. So my name is Christina McClurken. I mean, if I were to say I am the founder of anything, it's Christina McClurken Wellness, which sounds super weird. I always tell people, just think of me as like your healthy bestie. I am a functional nutrition and metabolism coach and sustainable weight loss coach. And how I got here is I would almost say twofold. Growing up, I was a child of the 80s, of course, and so my mother taught me, I'm dating myself, but if you remember like the Weight Watchers, like the physical slider, like the cardboard, who remembers that, right? I learned how to, like in high school, my mother was just always on a diet. She would sit down to have dinner with us sometimes and make the dinner but not eat, and we would ask why, and she's like, well, I had a Snickers bar for lunch, right? So I kind of learned at a young age some not so healthy eating habits, but they didn't really affect me then, which I think is the interesting thing about growing up, is sometimes you really don't realize it until after the fact. But anyway, I got my clinical start in traditional healthcare, my master's degree in physical therapy. Same kind of like Jen, like you think PT, like I'm not the outpatient kind of, or not Jen, I'm so sorry, I'm like the wrong person. I love working with geriatrics. I love working inpatient. I love working in hospitals. So I saw a lot of what was coming down the road for us if we don't take care of ourselves. And seeing that firsthand as like a 20-something-year-old girl, I was like, well, snap, I better start taking care of myself. But of course, that's kind of when it hit me how I grew up, and taking care of myself meant plugging my numbers into MyFitnessPal and eating like 1,200 calories and exercising like a maniac. So I actually led myself down a path of not so good metabolic health, hypothyroid, lost my period, wasn't even able to have kids because a lot of what I did in efforts to be, thin. Kate Moss was like the goal in the 80s and 90s, So I kind of found this combination of like this desire to maintain my metabolic health for age, because I saw what was coming if I didn't, but then really figure out how to take the traditional definition for a young female of what health looked like, and kind of overturn that. When I worked with geriatrics in a nursing home, I had women that would pass on the ice cream at lunch because they were watching their waists, and they're 90 years old and in a wheelchair. And it makes you really realize that, you think you're just going to care about your physical appearance until a certain date, and then you kind of say, I don't care. But I watch these women, I'm like, at the end of my life, am I going to be passing on ice cream? Like, no way. I'm like, give it for breakfast. So anyway, it's really my desire now to help women, obviously, kind of get rid of that mentality, change their face of health, but also kind of look into the future, at what's coming, and understanding that like wanting to be your best self now, even in physical appearance, actually also has a lot to do with if you're going to be your best self down the road later for your metabolic health. So that's kind of what I do. I have group coaching programs for women. I take one-on-one clients and just really tailor everything to, you know, specific women and kind of where they're coming from and their own definition of health. Because if you asked everybody in here, everyone would have a different definition. And what's really important is just that you achieve like what is your definition of that. Oh, you have one.
Yeah. Hi guys, my name is Tommie. I am a yoga instructor. I am a bar instructor. I'm comprehensively certified in Pilates as well. And I'm the owner of Balance by Tommie, which is my own business company. It's a one-woman show, but I help moms and women find balance in their life through movement, but also like the spiritual and mental part of yoga. So when Brittany asked me to be on, she's like, I feel like we need like a little bit of a spirit to balance the mind-body. So I love the physical work, but I'm also very into the spirit and understanding energy work in our body. And I would say my main goal is to help cultivate self-love in ourselves and in our kids, because I believe that that's the foundation of any other success in your life, financial, business, relationships, whatever it is. You have to find how you love yourself first before you're going to find success anywhere else in this world. And I had an eating disorder in college that I'm just starting to like bring to light, bring to the table. So that's kind of one of the things that when I asked that question to the confidence girls and things like that, you know, I was kind of a hot mess in my early 20s, and yoga and this understanding of spirituality and mind-body spirit connection and help has really helped me to grow into my best self. And I'm a mom. I have an 18-month-old daughter at home, so I'm a girl mom. And I'm just really looking very, very honored to be here and sitting with all these amazing women on the panel today and to be surrounded by you guys. So thank you, Britt, for having me.
Thank you. Because the spiritual side of things is my foundation. So if I'm not right in my spirit, then mind and body is taking a nap. You know, it's just not going to happen. So I often say the glue is the glue. It's all together. I love it. Thank you for all the beautiful introductions. Now we have a little taste of what we're going to dive into today. This panel is called Vitality Unleashed. So Jen, I'm going to pass the mic to Jen, and I'm going to ask you specifically, how do you define vitality, and then what habits do you have that align your belief of what vitality is to the action that you take every single day for yourself?
So I define vitality as just being your best healthy self. When I was in my 20s, it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And if I didn't have a pack of Marlboros down by noon, I was not, you know. So for me, I've been preaching health and wellness. I was a flight attendant for 31 years. I traveled the world. And I used to preach to my coworkers. You know, we'd be flying to India, and I'm like, you're really going to eat that shit food on the airplane? And I'd bring my own sweet potatoes. And I started to really focus on getting healthy. And I stopped smoking, and I stopped the drugs and the rock and roll. And now I'm in menopause, so I stopped the sex for a while too, but I got on hormones, so we're back. But, you know, I really practice what I preach. So I get up every morning at 5 a.m. I work out for an hour and a half. I really, you know, I do the 80-20 with what I eat. 80% of the time I eat super clean, 20% of the time I eat garbage. Not garbage, but, you know, things that probably I shouldn't eat. I don't drink alcohol on a regular basis. You know, my faith is very important to me, so I spend time in the mornings journaling and in prayer, things like that. And I just really try to model what I want for my patients, because health is so much more than just getting on a treadmill and eating broccoli. There's so much more to it. And I think that I'm relatable to a lot of my patients because I had a very unhealthy lifestyle for many years, and I had a lot of fun, by the way, when I was living that unhealthy lifestyle. But what I found too now is that you can still have a lot of fun and have a great life without all those things.
Yeah.
So,
I hope you're not eating broccoli on the treadmill.
but now I've never tried that. But
I'm going to have each of you define vitality, but I'm going to couple it with a specific question for you. So, Tommie, I'm going to come to you. Can you tell me how you define vitality? And then, was there a specific moment that happened that made you prioritize your self-care and well-being?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, vitality is, again, that mind-body-spirit connection, and that's what yoga is based on. It's getting all three of those things in balance. And this is a story it's been coming up because everybody keeps asking, like, where I got into yoga and what made me realize that I needed to make a shift. So I was in college, suffering with that eating disorder that at the time, honestly, I didn't even realize how bad it was, but it was bad. It was creating a lot of other not great choices in my life. I didn't like myself, and it was very sad, so it was making me do sad things. But I got into yoga, and I was in a hot yoga class one day, and I was doing Warrior 2 in the mirror, so it's like a power pose. And for the first time in that moment, I looked in the mirror and I liked the way that I looked. But what was funny was that it wasn't, oh, I like my arms, I like my belly right now. It was, I look fucking strong. I like that. And in that moment, I was like, yoga. There's more to that than moving my body. And I think that was that first initial tiny little spark. That's when the candle was lit. And it took 10 years for me to really start to understand that a little bit better. But that's when I realized that something went off in my head. It was all right, we gotta start making some adjustments. There's something bigger than what your body looks like. And that was that pivotal moment for me.
I love that yoga makes you strong, because often we think, oh, it makes us lean, maybe we'll get an ab or two popping out, but to actually say we're strong, and it doesn't have to be going crazy, benching all the things,
Or
pushing
physically,
those.
even.
Yeah.
Yoga makes me strong. Right up here. Especially hot yoga, I love that.
Now, is there a goat involved in the hot yoga?
A goat?
Goat yoga?
Yeah, I have heard of goat yoga, and I haven't personally done it, but I did teach alpaca yoga one time at a farm, so yeah.
Spinning all over?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they just walked around
I
and,
see.
yep.
That's awesome. Christina, can you define vitality for me, and then tell me how you model that for your children?
Yeah, so vitality to me means energy and strength to live your life. Again, coming from healthcare, we think vital signs like heart rate, right, respiratory rate, blood pressure. That just means you're alive. And I think for so many women, we're just existing, right? And we're not actually, we don't have vitality, which is energy and power and strength and to do the things that we want to do, play with our kids, right? Instead of sit on the couch and watch them, or be the mom that's let's just cuddle, right? To lug your groceries in, one arm, because you refuse to take more than one trip. So it's really kind of to me, vitality is having the strength and the energy to do the things that you want to do. And personally, this is very important to me because we've had a lot of illness in my family. I would say I'm the last one man standing without cancer in my family. My sister, who is only 20 months older than I am, we are best friends. She's my everything. I always said I wanted to grow old in the nursing home with her. My husband's like, what the hell? I'm like, you'll be dead at 70. We're just different. She, in 2017, got diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I'll never forget, and I hope I don't cry, I was at work and I just got a call because we thought she had reflux, and it's it's cancer and get to the hospital right now, and I watched her, who to me was the epitome of health. She's a dietitian, she exercised, she took such good care of herself. And it was basically we need to start treatment now or you will not live. And she's my other half. And so I watched her, go through years of treatment. She was treated, it came back, she went for a bone marrow transplant. And this was a woman who loved to exercise and eat right, and she couldn't even walk to her mailbox to get her mail. And it's sometimes I think some of us forget the privilege that we have to be able to take care of our bodies. She couldn't. There'd be times I was exercising in the morning and thinking, I don't want to do this. I'm she's laying in a hospital, but she'd kill to pick up a weight or exercise, So to me, it's so important because it can be taken from us. Our vitality can be taken from us at any time, and I don't think we value that a lot, or as much as we should. I watched the same in my father, who recently passed. He was a metabolic nightmare. Every 3-letter abbreviated lifestyle disease, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and he was like my coach growing up. He loved being active, playing with my kids even. And a man in his 70s, couldn't go out and play catch with his grandkids. And my kids would be like, when is Papa going to be better? And it's like, he's not going to be better, And so I watched him at a very young age, 7. I mean, I worked with 90, 100-year-olds at 70, like literally unable to do the things he wanted to do. His mind was fine, right? He thought he had vitality up here, and his body could not do it. And he passed, and it was a blessing. He was very ill, but I think about the life that he missed from age 75 to 95 that he could have had. And so, to me, that's the definition of vitality. It's being around to not just be here, but do the things with the people you love, and actually just be in a body that has energy and strength and really feels amazing. Because I think so many women right now are walking around low energy, right? Just poor digestion, tired all the time. And just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. And I think so many people think it's just the norm, right? Well, I'm a mom, well, I work full time, and that was me forever. Yeah, I'm just tired. I'm just gonna be tired until when? Until the kids go to college, till I die. We can do something about it, right? And I think that's, a lot of times I think we forget that is actually in our power. Yeah. Right, we shouldn't, and I think that's the thing too. I know you said, how do I model it for my kids? They've seen the sickness, right? They saw it in my father, and helping fill his pill boxes, right? And it's kind of you want to teach your kids about health in a way that they can relate to. And I'm how Papa would really love to be playing with you right now, but he can't because he's sick. We want to take good care of ourselves, so we have that. So it's really important for me to model it from that standpoint, and then again from kind of the non-diet standpoint, because as a mom of I have 2 girls and a son, and my 9-year-old came home the other day and said something about being fat, and I'm oh my God, I can't, you're 9, right? And that does not happen in my home. So really just helping them understand how I model it. It's mommy works out to be strong. Mommy works out so I can have energy for you guys. Mommy eats well because it actually makes me feel good. And then I also have ice cream dates with you because that also makes me feel good, right? It doesn't always have to be about, just only doing things that serve our physical wellness, because there's mental and emotional wellness that has to do with, that kind of stuff too. So, yeah.
Dr. Rhiannan.
Hi.
Can you define how you define vitality, but also tell me the patients that come to you, what do they come for, and then what do you actually deliver?
Okay, that's a very good question. Who told you to ask that question? Okay. So the way that we define vitality in my practice is adaptability and resiliency of your nervous system. And we do scans. We do neurological scans in my office, so we're having objective measurements of where people are. And a lot of times the kids start first, right? Because moms are always putting their kids first, and so little kids start first. And then finally, we get talking to moms, like Christina said, that, we've normalized being exhausted all the time, having poor digestion, that brain fog. And we do their scans, and their nervous systems are just tanked. I mean, these are just exhausted nervous systems running on fumes. And what do? What do? You grab sugar, you grab caffeine, your hormones are all out of whack, you're trying to change things in your diet, right? We're gonna get rid of gluten, we're gonna get rid of casein, we're gonna get rid of red dye number 40, we're gonna use all the essential oils, and all that stuff is really awesome. But what I find in my practice is women are looking for solutions to problems that really the root cause a lot of times is this dysregulation in the nervous system. You can do the yoga, you can do the HIIT classes, you can have the best diet, you can take all the supplements, you can, you're trying to layer all of these really great things, but you're layering them onto a dysregulated nervous system. And so your brain doesn't know how to properly integrate those things. So you can have a bag of Cheetos, or you can eat an orange, and your digestion still doesn't really know how to properly integrate that into the system because you're not having that proper connection between the brain and the body. So when we start to do the work of putting input into the nervous system, into the brain, so that it can start to change the patterns. And the really important thing to understand too, like when I said earlier, whatever you think about chiropractic, just erase that part when you think about me, is because people think physical, right? So to answer your question, people will come to me and tell me about their neck pain or their headaches or their sciatica or their frozen shoulder. And I care about that because obviously it's impacting their quality of life. Otherwise they wouldn't be seeking care for it, right? But they can see any musculoskeletal chiropractor for that. But then I look at their review of systems at the end of their paperwork that they half the time are like, why am I answering these questions at a chiropractor? And they have constipation and irritable bowel syndrome, and they're not sleeping well, they have low energy, they have headaches every week, every day, and they think that's normal. They just pop an Excedrin, right? And so then I go, wait a minute, let's forget about this sciatica for a second. Let's look at your house is on fire here. But we've just been taught that we just have to power through to the next day. Who else needs us? My family needs me, my boss needs me, and so for me, the way that I talk about health in my practice is that it's a spectrum, right? That there is no I'm healthy or I'm not healthy. Health is a spectrum. You're either going toward health or you're going toward disease, right? So what are the things that bring us closer to health? What are the things that bring us toward health? Good quality sleep, right? Quality sources of water, good nutrition, moving our body, right? Those are the things that bring us toward health. What are the things that bring us away from health?
The Cheetos you mentioned.
Cheetos, that falls under our biochemical stresses, right? So the toxins, we live in a very toxic world. So, and a lot of times when I say toxins, people think I'm talking about drugs and alcohol. But a lot of times I'm talking about what's in our food supply. What are you cleaning your house with? What are the lotions and potions that you're putting on your body? And a lot of that plays a part with hormones, as Jen knows. So the biochemical stress, antibiotics, vaccines, and I'm not saying any of those things are bad. I'm just saying we need to acknowledge that these are chemicals that we're putting in and on our body and around our environment. And then when we talk about physical stress, when I talk about that, a lot of people think oh yeah, I fell down, I had this car accident. What about sitting at a desk all day for 8 hours? Our bodies are meant to be in motion. They are not meant to be sitting. And I could get real nerdy and talk about the craniosacral pump and all of that fun stuff, but that's for my office. And then emotional stress. Okay, so we got biochemical, we got physical, and emotional. Or when I talk to men, I usually have to say mental. They don't admit that they have emotions. But mental, emotional stress, whatever you want to call it. What are the traumas that you've gone through in your life? Have you gone through a hard divorce? Did you have a really difficult fertility journey? What was your childhood like? Have you lost a loved one? Do you have a boss that's mean to you every day? Do you all of these things, your nervous system is receiving input from the external environment and from your internal environment all day, every day. And the brain loves two things, predictability and efficiency. What it knows so that it can already make a pattern. Right? And so that's what my job is to find what those default patterns are and help reset them so that you can have a healthier processing of your environment.
So more than cracking out bags.
Yeah, no, if there is a noise in my office, it's because you had gas in your joints, and the little kids like to call it bone farts. But no, my adjustments have nothing to do with force. It's about impulse to the brain.
I love that.
Thank you.
So good. All right, so should I survey who's the Cheetos and who's the orange? Raise a hand, Cheetos. Raise a hand, orange. Half of you are lying, and you're all fucking I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. All right, so, ladies, a lot of us are busy. Who here is busy? You all busy? No, not busy. I'm too busy to answer that question. So, how would you help women who think we're too busy to prioritize self-care? And we know we need
don't have a choice, right? We have to prioritize our health. Because if we don't prioritize our health, eventually we're going to not be able to be busy anymore because our bodies are going to break down. So that's I think, especially as we age, that needs to be on the upper rung on the ladder of priorities in our life. It's just not negotiable. And trust me, I'm going to be 56 next month, and the older we get, the harder it is, and the sooner we start, the easier it gets. And we shift from that. You guys were saying earlier about women, people are, especially women, because we try to take care of everybody and everything, and we try to be everything to everybody. But a lot of us are just surviving. We're not thriving. And in order to thrive, especially as we age, we have to make ourselves and our health a priority, even if that means getting up an hour earlier every day, or going to bed an hour earlier every night. But it's a pretty non-negotiable thing.
I couldn't agree more. So back in the day, I actually started a women's group called 4:30 a.m. Club. Anybody remember who was that? No, it's right? Right, I stopped that when I got tired. So,
You just need hormones.
I know. I need more. 2 years of women getting up because they were 9-to-5ers. So they wanted to have these important conversations about business, but also about ourselves whenever they could. And we figured 4:30 was a good time. Why not? Before the sun rises, before the kids get up, why don't we do us before we do them, right? So, it was hard. So we stopped after a couple of years and we switched the time. So now I have a dance break at like 12 o'clock every afternoon because we have to fit it in somewhere. I set the alarm at 10:01. My alarm goes off and I say a little prayer of gratitude. At 12 o'clock, I dance a little bit. At 3 o'clock, I may do a push-up, just one. I mean, whatever. Move our bodies. But we have to, whatever fits into our life. It doesn't have to be any of our definitions of success. You get to define what that looks like for you, but also your body will show you if it's working, right? I find that my body, if it's like a little more stiff, is because I didn't honor my 3 o'clock dance party, So tell me, all right, so tell me your thoughts. Okay, so we're busy people, we gotta make it work, but how do you talk to your clients about this when they say they're too busy? Like, besides you have to, like we have to pay our mortgage, we're gonna lose the house, that we get that, but if we don't work out, or if we don't eat well, or put ourselves first, like maybe the kids don't go to sports or something, so like whoever wants to answer this, like something just super practical besides, getting up early or going to bed later, because sleep is important too, so something, is it a mindset shift or is it really just a set alarm?
No, I definitely think it's a mindset shift. So you hear that saying, you put your mask on first, right? And I think that's what women have to shift that mindset to. Coming from someone who, when, my sister got sick and everything started to fall apart. My kids were young at the time. We were like moving houses. I was working full time and teaching at a gym and coaching, and I wanted to quit it all, to be quite honest. Like I was like, who's got time to take care of themselves? And it was literally a mindset shift in me that said, but wait, like if I'm going to show up for her, like I needed to be a mom, I needed to be a sister, a daughter, a PT, like I needed to be all these things. And I knew if I let my self-care go, because I did, I enjoyed exercise, like I enjoyed eating well. Like if I let that go, what good am I going to be to anybody? And so I think it is a mindset shift in that piece, but then we need the second piece, which is, well, how do we make it happen, right? Because it does have to be realistic. So with my clients, I'm very, very personalized with how I coach them and fit into their day. Like, I'm a big fan of breath work, right? That's like the easiest thing you can do is take back, like activate that parasympathetic nervous system with your breath. Like, do it at a stoplight, right? Like, you stop at a red light, let's do a square breath, right? Go to pee and do 10 squats if that makes you feel good when you get up and down from the toilet. And I always tell my clients, control your bookends, because there was so many years I felt that whatever happened during the day was completely out of my control. I get a call, kids are sick, go do this. But if you can control like the first 5 to 10 minutes of your day and the last 5 to 10, it gives you such a sense of control. So I always say, how are you exiting the bed? You better not be to pick up that phone, right? Like put that shit down and like do you first. And maybe it's some breath work laying in bed. Maybe it's just a quiet cup of coffee before anyone gets up, like you said, at night. There's times I love a good 45-minute nighttime routine, but when my kids are in sports, like we roll home at 8:30 and it's like shove them to bed. But I'll lay with my legs up against the wall for 10 minutes and like listen to a meditation or do something, because then no matter what, I control like how my day ends. And I do the same with my clients. Like what routines can we put in place that will, number one, make you feel in control of your well-being, but number two, you know, we've talked such about the importance of stress in the nervous system. It's like, how can we get ourselves out of fight or flight, like intermittently throughout the day, and just like scale back a little bit, because otherwise we just go. So, you know, just like it is, people are actually fine fitting in exercise, most people, but they're, yeah, do a half hour on the treadmill extra, like I'll do it, but like, could you do a half hour of like some breath work and meditation? Oh, I don't have time for that, right? So it's like, you know, with my clients, it's kind of like, where are they maybe needing to actually prioritize something that maybe they're not, and how can we fit it into their schedule, like in a really realistic way? And same thing with nutrition. Like a nutritionist who doesn't like to cook or meal plan, so it's like, how can we put together meals in 5 minutes that, like, again, serve your goal but don't take away your time from like your life? And so I think it can be very individualized to people, but I think that's the most important part. I think a lot of women are not acting because they think it has to look like what someone else is doing. I remember the first time I saw like containers like on a counter with like a week's worth of meals, and I was like, I don't know what I want for lunch on Thursday. Like, that will never work for me, right? I'll throw half my food out. So I eventually just realized I had to adopt my own habits that like worked for me, and now I just help them do the same with my clients. I'm like, if you don't like to prep, don't prep. If you love it, do it. Like, let's figure out how to make it work for you.
I love that. It does look different for every person.
Yeah.
And also, my takeaway is if we're squatting over the toilet, we should probably pull our pants over.
Yeah.
And then no more Tetris before bed. That's going to have to be my homework. I have the hardest time putting the phone down before bed.
Technology
Oh,
bedtime.
so
You're gonna
hard.
set a technology bedtime.
Apparently.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Tommie, can you talk a little bit or speak to, and if you wanted to add anything to that last question again, but if you wanted to, can you speak to stress management and how that plays a part in self-care and our mental needs?
Sure. So just on the making it work, basically, I just have to say, like, adaptability is, and being flexible with what your day looks like. So, like, before I had James, my daughter, I was a person who was like, Tuesday, 6 a.m., go to yoga. 8 o'clock a.m., we wash the bathroom. 9 o'clock a.m., we sit down, we have coffee. 10 o'clock, like, it was so rigid. Like, I had days I did yoga, I had days I did HIIT, I had days I did Pilates, and if I didn't do it, then all hell broke loose. But what I've learned with being a mom is there's ways to be adaptable and, like, get your movement in somewhere or do something. So, like, I joke, I'm like, I wouldn't run for my life. Like, if someone was chasing me, I wouldn't run. I would sit down and be like, okay, well, like, I'm not running from you, because I hate running. But then I had James, and I needed to move, and I didn't have a babysitter, and I needed to get outside. She wanted to be outside, so guess what I did? I started running, like, with the stroller, because that's what we had to do in the moment, that's what we did. And go figure, I kind of like it a little bit, like, once in a while, once every 2 weeks, like, I'll go for a little run. But I think just being open to being adaptable about your movement and your health and things like that. And then the stress management portion is just so important, and I think it starts to come down to, like, awareness, and that's kind of one of, like, the spiritual aspects, I would say, is starting to become aware of yourself, your body. What can you notice yourself thinking, feeling when you're starting to get stressed? And once you start to notice those things, then you can start to implement the tools that we have. So whether that's going to the gym or breath work or meditation or prayer or whatever, but we're on so much of this autopilot of, like, go, 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 hustle, 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 mom, 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 boss, 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 like, all this stuff. Like, we don't even have the time to notice when our body is like, oh, we're doing a little too much. Like, you don't even pay attention. So just starting to become, you know, comfortable enough with yourself and, like, that self-study, that self-awareness to notice when your body is trying to talk to you. Because that's when we're running ourselves down, that's when we're gonna get sick, that's when we're gonna get injured, that's when we're gonna, you know, and then you really remember how important it is to take care of yourself.
Of course, so often we will find absenteeism in the workplace, and they don't realize what's happening. Like, months leading up to it, it always had something to do with their inability to manage stress and to take care of their body. And next thing you know, they're having a physical reaction to emotional, physical, mental stress. We're so connected, mind, body, and spirit. It's all connected. So if you're cramping somewhere, sure, you're probably dehydrated, drink some water, do what you gotta do. But I'm also curious, like, what else is your
Absolutely, and one of the things I like to kind of use as like a resource for that is like if you're familiar with like the chakra system. So like those energy points in your body that relate to different organs and systems in our body, but they also relate to our emotional and well-being. And like you can almost check in, like if you have, I'm gonna use the sacral chakra because we're in a group of women, and that's like associated with your reproductive system and your creativity and your go with the flow and your femininity. And when that's not balanced, or you're not like, if there's something off in that, you might experience like reproductive symptoms or fertility issues or uncomfortable periods or things like that. Like it all comes down, like it really does relate back to mind, body, spirit all together.
While we're talking too, you have water in front of you. Don't just get sick. Say hello to the water, friends.
Yeah, stay hydrated.
Yeah, stay hydrated. I know. I thought like, oh, I'm thirsty. I don't like feeling thirsty though, which means I haven't been drinking that enough. So I'm often figuring out why I feel a certain way. All right, so we know a lot of what we're talking about has to do within ourselves. We're self-regulating, or creating boundaries for ourselves if we need to for the stress management. How important is community, though, in our own health and wellness? Like, Dr. Rhiannan, what do you tell your patients about, because your patients are your kids, but there's also family, so it's a community effort to keep us healthy, take care of ourselves.
Yeah, that's, oh, hello?
Want this one?
I don't know.
play with that.
Sure. Yeah, it's so interesting that you asked that, because my practice is, yes, my specialty is pediatrics, but I see plenty of men. I see lots of moms. My oldest patient's 95. It really is a community. I mean, half the time it looks like I'm running a daycare and I'm like walking over children in the waiting room. But it was really cool. I taught a workshop on Thursday night in my practice called The Perfect Storm. And there was this single dad who had never met me. He came because his 5-year-old daughter's teacher gave him the flyer for the workshop and said, I really think you should go to this workshop to learn about the root cause of what's going on with your little girl. And there was a mom there who is a mom of her 2 kids, are patients of mine. And to watch them connect at the end of that workshop, and like for him to like feel like he had like other parents that were feeling the same things that he was going through. And you know, you could tell that as a single dad, like he doesn't have that like group of moms that like talk to him at school drop-off, or you know. And so it was just so great to see, you know, these parents connecting who didn't know each other, had never met each other before. Because what I see in my practice is, honestly, and I'm sure Jen can say the same thing, like people think they're coming to you for different things, but at the end of the day, you see the same thing in all of them. Like, they're all sympathetic dominant. And so what that means, for those of you who don't talk about the nervous system all day like we do, sympathetic is the stress response, okay? And so there's a lot of, it's a big catchphrase on the social media these days. Everybody's talking about the nervous system now, like we haven't been talking about that for 120 years in chiropractic. But, and there's, you know, she was talking about the breathing, and you were talking about, like, you know, being connected and listening to your body and trying to get yourself out of that stress response throughout the day. What's important to understand, though, is that the brain creates patterns. The brain creates a default set point, okay? So to bring you back to high school biology, we've got homeostasis. Anybody remember that word? It was a long time ago. But that's that balance, that set point, right? So a deer runs out in front of your car, and you go into that sympathetic stress response, right? And your heart rate goes up, and your breathing goes up, and you're sweating. And then when the deer's gone and you wait for the babies to be gone too, and you're 5 minutes down the road and now you're singing along to the radio, you're back in parasympathetic. But that repetitive input of physical, biochemical, and emotional stress that keeps putting you in sympathetic, that becomes your default state. And so it becomes harder and harder and harder to switch into parasympathetic with all the yoga and all the breathing and all of that stuff. Because your default is over here in sympathetic, it takes so much more parasympathetic input to get you over there than if you were starting at balanced. And so I think the community in my practice is really people connecting. You know, you'll have a lumberjack connecting with this like brand new mom with this little baby, and they're talking about the same thing because they want to compare their scans, right? They come out of my office and they're like, what do your scans look like? Everybody's comparing scans in my waiting room because they have all, at the end of the day, we all have the same underlying stresses, and it really unites us instead of feeling in this, the general medical model, we feel like, you know, you have a heart doctor and a lung doctor and a foot doctor and a lady parts doctor, and you got all these separate doctors as if you were made of all these separate parts that are not all one and united. And so I think that that's the cool sense of community in my practice is everybody can see something similar in everyone else there.
That's awesome. I love that. Thank you for that. Jennifer, so let's talk hormones for a second.
Yeah.
My favorite topic.
Me too. Let's talk about it. How important is education in our home, in our bodies? Like how important is it for us to educate ourselves? Because you said earlier about the doctor's gaslighting, and I've experienced it often. We can't rely on our doctors to educate us on everything. We have to educate ourselves. So can you talk a little bit about the education piece of it, and then how do we educate the men in our life? Expand on that a little bit.
That's a good question. So, I know that when I was first going through menopause, like in that kind of late perimenopausal stage, yeah, I mean, a lot of women feel like they're possessed by demons, and I think I actually was possessed by a demon for a short time. But, you know, we get anxious, we get depressed, we can't sleep, we're sweating. We're sweating at night. We're sweating during the day. We're gaining weight. We feel terrible. We feel like we look terrible. Our vaginas get crispy. We don't want to have sex anymore. It's an awful place to be. And what was the question again? No, oh no, it's awful. It's the worst.
Education, hormonal
Yeah.
education.
So a lot of women, they'll go to their primary care doctor or their gynecologist and they'll say, you know, I'm not sleeping, I'm having all these symptoms. Oh, well, maybe you just need an antidepressant. Well, you're not feeling anxious and you're not sleeping because you have an antidepressant deficiency, right? Or, well, let's just give you like a birth control pill and we'll just shut the whole damn thing down and, you know, make your symptoms even worse. The problem is that most doctors are not educated in hormone replacement for women as they go through that transitional stage in their life. And there's a lot of gaslighting. There's a lot of, well, you know what? You're just older. You're in menopause now, and these symptoms are normal. This is just how it's going to be. Well, normal doesn't mean optimal. And oftentimes women are left feeling rejected, dejected, and hopeless. And then there's the old, well, estrogen causes breast cancer. Do you really want to put that in your body? And that's the biggest education piece that I have to contend with in my practice, because a lot of women still feel that estrogen causes breast cancer. And it doesn't. If it did, pregnant women would be the highest risk group of breast cancer patients, because when you're pregnant, you have 10 times as much estrogen surging through your body as when you're in menopause. And then what doctors also don't tell their patients, and another big education piece that I go through, is the number one cause of death in women is not breast cancer, it's heart disease. And that happens in menopause when we lose that cardioprotective benefit of estrogen. Dementia happens because we lose that protective benefit of estrogen in our brains. Osteoporosis, estrogen protects our bones. And those are just a few examples. Estrogen also protects us from colon cancer. So a lot of times I have to have this conversation to deprogram women's minds, because unfortunately a lot of doctors are still going off of the very flawed Women's Health Initiative study that came out in 2002 that caused 70% of women to throw out their estrogen that they were taking. So and breast cancer is a huge fear. I think all of us at one point in our life have had that fear, or have that fear that our boobs are going to kill us at any moment. And that's just not true. Estrogen doesn't cause breast cancer. There is absolutely nothing in the literature that supports that. So that's a big piece of it. Because when I treat women and I replace their hormones, and mind you, I give a microdose of what birth control does, right? I'm not looking to get you back to reproductive levels of hormones. I'm just looking to get you to protective levels of hormones. And it's so cool when women finally say, oh my gosh, you're right. And then I recommend books for them to read. And then we put them on hormones, and they come back 2 months later, they're like, I feel like myself again. My husband actually told me the other day that he could, that I'm not demonic and possessed by demons anymore. And he actually wants to have sex with me. So I think that's the gratifying piece of my practice, because it makes such a huge difference in their lives. So.
Thank you for that. Christina, let's stick with the education side of things. There's so much noise out there when it comes to weight loss.
Yeah.
What is your take on it? How do we navigate it? Where do we start?
Similar just on the gaslighting. I've had so many clients come to me trying to my diet. My doctor just said eat less and move more, right? Like that, like age-old advice that is completely wrong. I think really what helped me overcome not only my, diet mentality, but then just overall making it understanding that it is very holistic, is understanding how the metabolism worked. And so that is my big thing, to educate my clients. I break it down to I call my 6 pillars. So blood sugar balance, movement, sleep, stress, gut health, and mindset, because that's all part of it. So I think when you can actually understand how your body works and how all of those things come into play and how foods work in your body, you can actually let go of a lot of that noise, because you're like, no. I know that's not how it works, right? So to me, educating my clients on how their body actually works and how all of their systems work in conjunction, it not only allows them to kind of quiet that crappy diet noise, but also create behaviors that they're trying to establish out of an understanding that this makes me feel better, right? Because they may know that if I don't sleep well, then my hunger hormones are not regulated the next day. I've got the munchies, I want the carbs, I really just need a nap. And so it's and then they blame, I've got no willpower. Like, no, you've got no sleep, right? So I think when people can actually understand why things are important, why putting the phone down before bed is important, right? Because you have some melatonin, then you can't sleep. And, so it just, I like to holistically educate my clients on the way their body actually works, because nobody did that back in the day, right? It was just kind of I think always having been on a diet or an exercise plan, people are used to being told, this is what you need to do, that is what you need to do. But you know your body best. And not everybody believes that, because they've always just relied on someone outside to tell them how much to eat or how much to move or how much to whatever. But you don't fit a protocol. You're not a definition of average. Nobody is, right? We all have our own things. So to me, the educational piece of how your body how your metabolism actually works as a whole is so important, because it not only empowers you, but then it just, like I said, quiets the noise of the stuff that just does not make any sense out there.
She said it best, we know our body best. Yeah. Not our doctors, but they have expertise, sure, but they don't live in our body every single day. So my biggest piece of advice would be to ask your body what it needs and get quiet and get still and try to hear what it says. And when it's feeling off, all right, what do we need? All right, what do we need? Am I thirsty? Am I hungry? Am I snacky or am I tired?
Well, and that's the thing. I think that's where having, the support of a coach or an expert comes into play, because you might hear what your body's saying, but you might not know what the hell to do about it, right? Or what's causing that feeling. So I think that's where having a practitioner in your corner to help it make sense for you, so that you can, if you get in touch and you're like, this is what I'm experiencing, I don't like it, but what do I do about it, right? Or what is the cause? And so I think that's where having a coach or a practitioner comes in, because they can really help you kind of then navigate that to make it go away, instead of just pop a pill or a supplement, right? An Excedrin, because let's figure out why things are going on.
So getting someone to help you is part of that community effort too, of not only an accountability partner or telling somebody about hiring a coach, finding the right physician, and asking.
I think, community is, that age-old saying, you are who you surround yourself with, or you become the combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, I think for women, it can be hard because you're not always physically surrounded by people that support you, right? Your husband might not give a crap about eating healthy, right? Or you going to the gym. And sometimes they don't even support the woman in like what they want to do, even though they'll show up better at home and as a mom. And to me, for community, like virtual support has been so huge because there was a time in my life too where, you know, I was working full time and kids, I couldn't even get out of the house if I wanted to. So, and I used to teach at the gym. I loved the gym community, but I needed to like make that virtual for me. So that's how I started seeking out coaches and mentors. And then the beauty of that is they don't have to be in your physical state even, right? Like, you know, I have been so influenced by people that live across the country that I'll probably never meet, but they were coaches of mine because I just, you know, vibed with them, and that's one of the beauties of social media and virtual now. So I think if you don't have it in your physical presence, especially like a lot of women coworkers can be kind of catty or like not supportive, and like just seek out people that are in your corner, regardless if they're in your physical corner, right? Like they can really be anywhere. And for like I'm very protective of the communities I create for my clients, like my group program and stuff. Like I want only the right people in there because I want women to feel it's a no judgment zone. They're completely supported, right? You can be your authentic self and your vulnerable self, and there's going to be people that are going to love on you and support you. And even if you might not have that at home, because I think it's hard enough to work on your health goals when you do have support, but forget it when you don't, right? So I just think it's important for people to